everybody, welcome back boys and girls. That's your main math man, Mr. Shane, coming to you live from Mayfield. In this video we're working on this functions study guide for our preparations for the functions test. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one front and back page at a time. So on that first page it's talking about relation versus functions, and then it has domain and range. So again, you want to make sure you're seeing the domain of a set of values is going to be our x values. And so when we're looking at our set of ordered pairs, we want to look for those x values first as our domain, and then the range again is going to be our y values. And so when it asks for a domain of -3, +4, it's saying it has to include those two. So for that first one, it does have the correct domain. However, for the range, you see that it has an extra value of +4. So you know it cannot be the first one. For the second one, let's see what we have. We have -3, +4, and we have same idea. We're going to have that 1. So since we have that 1 there, we know it can't be that one. We can cross that one out. For the third one, let's see, we have -3, +4, and for our y values we have 1 and 0. So we know that we should be good with choice B. Again, it has to have that domain of -3, +4, and a range of 0, 1. For number 2, it says select all the correct let's try that again. Select all that are correct, which representations represent a relation that is a function. You gotta remember, if you're looking for a function, you have to have no repeated x. So no repeated, see if I can write that, x. Close enough. Alright. So when we're looking for that, again, if it's a graph like this, you have to see, I should be able to draw a vertical line anywhere on the graph, and it should only hit one point. That means that for us, let's see, for this first one, it is good because these points only hit once. However, for the second one, we see that we have a point on -1, where x equals -1, it hits twice, and so we know that we cannot choose that one. For the third, even though these points are close, this one is still good. And when it gives you a table of values, only need to look for those x values, and so if there's any values that repeat, you know it is only a relation. So this one's good. Second one is good. However, with the third, it is only a relation because it has 2 values for 2. And for the set of ordered pairs, same idea. Let's see if we have 2 ordered pairs that have a 2 in it, so it can't be that one. Second one looks good, and we have 2 values with a -3 in it. So make sure you're looking at those x values first for those relation or functions. On the back, it looks like this. It says which can replace the missing value so that the relation is still a function. So I can't, in other words, it's saying this: I cannot choose these values. I cannot choose a 3, I cannot choose a 0, I cannot choose a -2, and a +1. So I said I cannot choose a 3, I cannot choose a 0, I cannot choose a -2, and I cannot choose a +1. So I'm going to, for that one, it's going to be 2. Make sure you're seeing how those repeated x values would make it not a function. And it's saying which is the domain of this relation. So we know those are going to be those x values. So let me highlight those. We have 4, -3, positive 2, negative 1, and 0. So we're saying that's the domain. So we have to only include those values. So we have, for that first one, we can't select it because it has values like 5 in it, so we know it can't be that one. For the second one, we need a 0 in it, and it also has a 5 in it, so it can't be that one. Same thing, we need a 0, and so we know it's going to be that last one since it has those correct values. For the fifth one, it says which one of the following has a range of -3, 1, and positive 8. So we're saying this is the range for here. So we know we're looking at mainly just the y values. So it cannot be this one. We have -3, 1, 8, but however it has a 0, so we know it cannot be this one. We have 1, 8, 3, and 1, 8, -3, and -3, so this one should be good. Again, even though it has repeated y values, that is okay. It would still be a function. And then for number 6, it says select 2 correct answers. It says, given the relation below, which of the following values of x and y will make the relation, make the relation a function? So we're trying to see, all right, we have to only look at those x values. So let's see, we can only choose, so let me highlight this. So we cannot choose a 4, cannot choose a -1, we cannot choose a 3, and we cannot choose a -2. So let's see, we said that we cannot choose a 4, we cannot choose a -1, cannot choose a 3, and a -2. Again, the y value does not matter. We're only looking at that repeated x. If there's any repeated x values, that makes it only a relation. However, with a repeated y, it does not change. It would still be a function. And then towards the end here, it says use the graph to answer 7 and 8. So I'm going to use this graph right here. It says, what is the domain of this function? So I know those are our x values, so we're looking at this. So I can look at the graph and say, all right, I have an x value at 1, I have an x value at 3, 4, 5, and 7. So very simply, I have 1, 3, 4, 5, 7, and so we know this would be good. For number 8, same idea, it's asking for the range now, so we're going to say that's going to be our y values. And so we're looking at, again, I can start at the bottom, so I have 1, 2, 5, and 6. So I need to find 1, 2, there it is, 1, 2, 5, and 6. So we know we're good with that one as well. And it says which could not replace the missing value if the relation is a function. So same kind of idea, I cannot choose these following values, so I'm looking for not a 2, I'm looking for not a 1, and not a -3. So I'm saying that if I was to choose one of these, I could not choose -3 since that would make it a relation. So I know that this one is good. Again, make sure you're reading this carefully and moving on.